Hi, my name is Leonardo Facchinetti and let's write some code together, shall we? What we have on the menu today is Notestrator, this app that I have been developing in my streams. It allows you to draw on top of your computer screen, which is useful if you are doing a stream or if you are presenting something on Zoom or you are a lecturer, that kind of thing. And the point where we are at is we need to style the menu with the tools and the different colors and everything. So this is a desktop app. It's written in Electron in JavaScript. And this is what we have so far. And we are going to continue styling this. So we have the color selectors, the thickness selector, the tool selector, and the different modes of operation. So this is drawing mode versus interacting with the underlying application mode. We are going to continue styling that menu. First thing I want to do is but by the way, yesterday I was streaming about GitHub Copilot, and I am going to continue using Copilot. There is a lot of controversy in terms of licenses and everything, but I experimented with Copilot yesterday in the stream, and I worked with Copilot today on my day job. And it's kind of okay. Sometimes it gets it right, sometimes it gets it very wrong, and it can be distracting because you're thinking about the line you want to write and then it suggests something completely off. But sometimes it saves some typing. There was never a case in which I was like stuck because I didn't know how to express something that I wanted to say, and Copilot helped me. But it's a fancy copy and pasting autocomplete thing, which is sort of okay. So first thing I want to see is the dimensions of the window itself. So we are not talking about this. This is the drawing canvas, but the menu. And the menu has a width and a height that you have to give to Electron. It's going to position the screen and it's going to size the screen, the dimensions that you give it. And I'm not even allowing you to resize or, well, just resize or close the window and whatnot. And I want this this width and height that I came up with, like just any number I threw in there. And I think it should be better if we put a width and height that are from our design system. So I'm going to look at the design system. I'm going to talk about the design system in more depth in future videos, but it's this package called LeaFax CSS that I developed, or that I am developing, in fact. And in fact, today I have updated it, so I guess I should install LeaFax CSS at latest. Does that update to the latest? Not sure it does. It seems like it does, and I think it's 026, yes. So now I have the latest. And in here, there will be some widths I can play with. So right now we are about the right size, which is 100, and one RAM has 16, so has 16 pixels. So we are talking about something around 6 RAMs, and I don't have that option in the design system, but I probably have it as a kind of space. In fact, I do. So I am already in the design system. 100 pixels is 16 times 6. Well, it's not. What gives? 100 divided by 16. Oh, it's 6.25. So how about we go from 100 to 6 times 16, which is 96, and then we are in the design system. So 96 of width, and in terms of height, 600 is almost okay, I guess. So let's see, that is 37 RAMs, and I guess then I don't have that anything near that in the design system. I mean, I could use some width around 36 maybe, but in terms of spaces I don't have that, and I don't have heights either. So I guess I will go with this 36. So it's 36 times 16, which is 576, and that is in the design system. It's a size that makes sense with the rest. So 576 is going to be my height. Let's see how the menu looks with this version, with these sizes. It doesn't look too different, and I guess that's expected. That's kind of okay. It's more or less what I wanted. But now it's more harmonious with the rest of the design system. So all the sizes will make more sense. What do I want to do next? Well, I'm going to commit what I have here because it is very self-contained, and I'm going to move on to the next part, which is so I have a lot of repetition in the code, so I'm going to extract some repetition from these parts here. They look exactly the same, but they have the code has been copy and pasted to make it work. So let's extract this because I think we will reuse this even on the next parts. So we have some parts here that have not been styled yet, but I think that we'll have something of that sort. Let's find the first one of these. It's not the colors. The colors are different because they are two columns and the keyboard shortcuts appear on the side as opposed to below. And yeah, I guess I was thinking if maybe I could change these icons to have a keyboard shortcut on the right and have two columns everywhere, and I would have 4 stroke widths I would give you one more stroke width just to make things work. But I think I like it this way. Yeah, so I'll continue with this idea. Now, let's do the extraction. So the first is not the color, the first is this part, which is the stroke width. Let's see. I'm going to look at two side by side. One will be the stroke width and the other will be the tool, which is the next part. So this is exactly the same, and then the label is exactly the same, and then we have an input and a style. Oh, in this case I have an SVG, and in this case I have a div because I'm using an icon. By the way, maybe I can use an icon from my font awesome icon library. Maybe I could use an icon to represent the stroke width, though I kind of prefer the way I'm doing it because the stroke width of the icon is exactly the stroke width you end up with the pen. Let's see if there is something here that is about stroke width. No. So that's that. Yeah. Also, maybe another thing we would want to do is to give you some feedback that you are hovering over. And that is debatable whether we want to do it or not. Some apps have no indication that you're hovering over any of the menus, and some apps will have an indication. So Visual Studio Code has some indications of when you are on top of a button, the background color changes. But there are some other apps like, I guess, the operating system, this menu bar, there is no indication that you are hovering on top of something. Except that in this part there is some indication. So maybe we want some hover styles. But I guess we'll do the extraction first and then the hover styles. It makes more sense this way. So let's start this extraction by maybe coming here to this part. And let's have a section. And this will be the section. Could I have used a section tag? Maybe, probably. But even if I did use the section tag instead of a div, I would still have a class called section, because sometimes you want to decouple the styles from the semantics. Sometimes that can be misleading, but in many cases it can be advantageous to have that separation. So you end up with things like button class button. That does happen, but I find that advantageous because sometimes you want an A to have a class button. Sometimes you want a div to have a class button, who knows? So I like this separation. It's something that you find in Bootstrap. I think you find it in other CSS frameworks as well. I find that way of organizing things to let me do the best of both worlds in terms of semantics and styling. At the same time, it does add some boilerplate. I do have to write things like maybe section, class section. That's what it is. So now we can, well, I guess we can check. We can start by checking that we still see this section the same way, that I'm applying the class correctly. Yes. Now let's move on to more interesting things. So I have, I think I will always have a label right below the section. So I will do something like this that will pick up that label. And then I will copy and paste this part. Hang on, I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So we were extracting the label, so I can remove this part. And it still looks the same. Now, we can have the conversation of whether I would want to have a class here as well, maybe section, label, or item, or something like that. Sometimes I do want that, sometimes I prefer to couple with the HTML structure. I guess we are going to just couple with the HTML structure, so yeah, I guess I'll do that for now. We'll see how it comes out. Then we have an input and the SVG. So the SVG is like the icon. So I'm going to call this, so this time I need a class because in the other one it will not be an SVG. So maybe I will be consistent. I'll have a class here as well. This will be the class. Well, actually I don't need any CSS here. I need some CSS here on the label. So here I will do class section item, and this will be section item icon. And you may be thinking, well, what is going on with the double dashes? I usually use double dashes to separate things that are like different levels, because sometimes one of the levels will be multiple words, like in this case. Font size is one level, and then the size that I want is another level, but font size is 2 words, so I separate the words with 1 dash, and I separate the levels with 2 dashes. Okay, so I have a section item. I will call this section item. And in this section item, I will have, oh, look at that. It is almost getting it right, but it's not section item title. It is section item icon, but it got right the convention that I'm using. So that's kind of okay. That's Copilot, by the way. Copilot's doing that. So icon. And now you may be thinking, well, why do you repeat yourself if you are if you're tying everything to the structure so much? Like I am sort of doubling down the HTML structure in my CSS. What is the point of having so specific names for the things? Well, Sometimes you will have names that are too specific, but sometimes you will have names that are too generic and clash with other things. So I find that this architecture of having a very specific name along with a very specific selector works well for me. And with that, we finished the first section. So we extracted everything from the first section. Let's see if it still looks the same. Maybe I messed something up. No, everything still looks the same. But there is one thing that is different, and that is the selection is not showing up. Now we have to investigate this more. It probably has to do with this part, where it says that the parent selector needs to appear here, but this is now a very specific selector. So maybe the problem here is the deeply nested stuff. So I have the section and the section item, and then at this point this ampersand stands for section, section item icon, and then this whole structure is not after the input, just the icon is after the checked. So maybe the best way to separate this is to just pull these things out. Let's see how this works for us. And now it's paying off to have very specific names. And just like that, checked is working again. Let's reread this CSS to see if there is something that we should take out, something that is specific to this case. So the section will be display flex, the items are left to right, and they are justify content space between. The problem with this is that when you have only two options, which will be the case in some places like here, I have either I'm drawing or I'm interacting with the application underneath. Well, actually I may have more modes that I want to put in here. Maybe I will have something like a hide menu mode, or a hide drawing mode, something like that. So I may have three options. As long as everything has three options, we will be okay. And below here I have four options, but I guess I will cut the medium and only have slow and fast because I want to have three options. So I guess I will have three options everywhere. If I had two options sometimes, I would probably switch from a display flex to a display grid, and I would have three columns. And in fact, that may make more sense anyway. So how about we say that we finished this extraction, and let's start playing around with this. So now we'll say grid template columns. Okay, that is what I wanted to say. But this is not what I want to say. I don't want to repeat 4 times. I want to repeat 3 times. And it's Copilot did something right here. I was gonna say it like this, but this is better. And it still looks the same. I mean, this part looks the same. This is still messed up because we didn't apply the new styles there. We did not apply our new classes there. We probably want a gap, so we'll say, okay, yeah, that is reasonable. I want to say just gap because we are working with modern browsers, but Copilot got it right, and it even picked up the space base. And in fact, I think I am going to backtrack this space base situation here. We are using space base all over the place, and I think that it's better to just hard code the fact. I think it's too many layers of abstraction. I think it's better to just hard code the fact that we are using a space 2. So we'll have that. Should still look the same. Awesome. And I think I want some more styles here for this display grid, and my favorite way of doing this is by going to this article about the grid, and it seems like they have changed some things. Yeah, it seems like they changed some of this. That's okay. Most of the content is still there. So what I want is to justify the items such that they stretch. Not really. Okay, this is what I want. I want to justify content with space between, just like that. And I don't think it will have much of an effect here in this case, but it's more correct to say that that's what I want to do. And this way it will line up with, or it should have lined up with this, which is the end of the container, but it did not line up, so we'll have to look into that. Then the section item is a display flex with a direction column, align items center, and then a gap. What is this align item center doing? I think that may be why we are off center. We are not hitting the right hand side here. No, that's not it. The problem is now that these labels don't align. So we'll go back to align items center. Now let's look at the icon. The icon is sometimes an SVG like it is right now, but sometimes it is an icon using the font Awesome icons. So do we want to have an explicit width and height? I think we do. Yes. And then the border radius will be, okay, that's okay, a border radius. And then we have all of these for the SVG. So we'll do, in the SVG, the stroke will have this color, and we'll transition the stroke. When the icon is right after the input that is hidden and it's selected, I will change the background color, I will change the stroke, and I will transition these properties. Now it's time for us to think about hoovering. I think we will have a different hover style. Let's do that. And I think it needs to come before checked. So we'll say if I am hovered, oh, it knew what I wanted to do. So if I am hovered, I guess I will just change the background color. I don't need to change the stroke because it will be slight. It will be not as a huge change. So by default, I think our background is 100 and we can go to 200. And I think in the dark mode, it is 900. We can go to 800. So we are going one off of the background, I think. Yeah. And with the colors, I don't know what to do. Do I want to give any kind of indication? Maybe I could do like a zoom, very slight zoom or scale. I guess I will go back and do that. So Let me find the colors. They are here. And the circle itself is the input. It's a radio button. So I will do a transition. Huh, it seems like I already have something left over for the transition. Oh no, that is for the little indicator, the little selection indicator. So let me copy this much, which will be a transition for the circle itself, and then I will do a transform, and well, this whole thing here is the indicator for when it's checked. So I'll do the hover before, and I will do a hover, and I will do a transform of scale almost right. Good job, Mr. Copilot. And I'll do a scale of, I forget, what do I have in terms of scale in my design system? I have 110, so I guess I would do 110. And since I'm doing hover, why don't I also do active, which is when I'm clicking on the thing? So in that case, I guess I will go 90, which will make it go down. And usually I would worry about keyboard navigation, so I would have a focus style, but there is no way for you to navigate with the keyboard except for the keyboard shortcuts. And there is no notion of screen readers on a drawing app, I don't think, so I think I don't have to worry about that. Yeah, this is looking good. Is it maybe animating too much? Maybe. But I kind of like it. And with these ones, we'll do the background. I like the background. So, coming back. Here, we have hover. We'll also add an active style. And for active, we go even darker and even lighter. Okay, so I put my cursor, it gets a little bit darker. I click, it gets a little bit darker still, and then I release and it looks like that. Let's check dark mode real quick. Yeah, I'm happy with dark mode. Switch back to light mode. I just prefer light mode. So we were here. Continuing, we will look at, well, the separator was already there. So now we can probably commit what we have. We worked on lots of things, many things changing here. Let's commit this and move on to the next section. And we'll try to extract the styles from there. The next section is this one. So we'll say that this is a section, that each of these labels, let's look at what we have for section item. So we flex, column, center, and a gap of 1. So we can just remove this and call this a section item. Then the radio is hidden. Do we have any display nones? Display grid, flex. Well, we have, but it's commented out. So it's something that is probably stale. Yeah, it's still like in a prototyping mode. I still have lots of things floating around. So we were on the section stuff right here. Then section item, the radio is hidden. Then this div will be the icon. So let me see. I have this whole section that is setting the color. I have a similar section here. Well, not quite actually. This extraction I did was on the SVGs, and it only works with the stroke and not the color. So let me commit whatever I have, because I think I will do some shenanigans here to try to unify these two ways of doing it. Let's see what we have so far, if I did not break anything. Yeah, everything is okay. Now, what we are gonna do is, for the icon, the width and the height are here. We can remove that. Then we will need font size and line height. So copy this over here. Now what I'm trying to do is unify these two versions. One is an SVG, the other is an icon from a font. I'm trying to bring those two together to see if there is like a unifying style. And I don't like the way that this is like wrapping all over. So I'm going to divide the screen this way. And my intent is that by the end I'll be able to say class section item icon. So we have this whole section here about the color, and it's doing to the color the thing that the other one is doing to the stroke. So how about we say that the stroke is the current color and we just change the color? I think that will work for the SVG as well as the icon font in one pass. Yeah, so the way we are gonna do this is we're gonna say the stroke will be the current color, and then anywhere where we see stroke we are gonna change that to color. And then we need to revisit the selectors. So maybe this bit can go below. About here. And then we don't need to have this level of indentation here. We don't need that. We are setting the color directly on the section item icon. This transition properties stuff needs to go below, and look at that, we already have that there. The color stuff I prefer to have before dimensions and everything, so I prefer to have it like things that affect the type, like font size and line height, then things that still affect the type, like the color, and then things like dimensions and border radius. So I'll do it that way. And then finally things that move, like transitions, and things that are nested, like this. So I'll do it in this order. So when hovering, and when active, and when checked, and I don't need these extra selectors, and I prefer to have my colors before my background colors. Just like that. Let's see what this looks like. It should look the same. Alright, everything is still looking good. Now let's do the final bit of refactoring here. I think I would rather have a section of light mode and then a section of dark mode. So that's what I'm gonna do now. And the way I'm going to do it is by a bunch of copy and paste. So copy and paste this and remove the dark mode stuff. Copy and paste that and remove the dark mode stuff. Copy and paste this and remove the dark mode stuff. I really like the way this reads. You have a certain color and no background color, and then when you hover you change the background color, when active you change the background color, and when checked you change both the color and the background color. And then we'll have a media query for the dark mode, and I can this time cut and paste. Then I can remove all the light mode stuff. And then I have these two sections that look very much alike, but there is a complete story about how the thing changes in light mode and its parallel universe down here. Yeah, this is looking awesome. Let's see if it still looks the same. Alrighty. Now let's continue with the tool. So we are here, we are using section, section item, and then section item icon. So all this stuff about the color we can remove. The border radius medium is the same, and then we have some display flex stuff. Why do we have that? I don't know, we'll think about it later. Then we have this transition stuff with the colors, but we already have that over here. So we can remove all of this transition stuff. And what is this doing for me? I think it's positioning the icon at the center of the box. Otherwise it's at the left. So that's what we are gonna do. We are gonna use that right here. So the order is things that are the element from the inside out, like width and height and maybe padding if I had any padding, border, then margin, outline, then finally how the element appears in relation to the rest is, or actually how the children appear. So display flex, align, and justify to the center, or yeah, justify and align to the center. Yeah, there is a perfect alignment here. Excellent. Perfect alignment here. Lovely. Lovely. Awesome. Let me commit this. I'm very happy with this result. I mean, just look at one of these sections. There is a separator, there is a section, there is a loop, section item, bunch of shenanigans to do the keyboard shortcut, and then the icon. I mean, it's perfect. And same here, so short, awesome. Let me take a quick look at what I have. Now the same styles apply to both SVG and icons. Great. Let's move on to the next one. The next one is this one where there is only 2 elements for now. There may be a third one coming later. So you are in drawing mode or you are in this click-through mode. So we know that we need a class section. This will be a class section item, and this will also be one of those. And then let's take a quick look at this to see if there is anything special about this one. No. So we can replace this whole thing with just section item icon. And I suppose the same will be true for that one. And look at this section, how short it becomes. You know what I think we need? I think we need a little bit more padding. How does this align with the circles? Perfectly. So I don't want to change the size of the box, but I will change the icons themselves. I think that they are almost touching the borders too much, especially this too. Yeah, let's commit what we have, and then I will try a smaller font. Yeah, that is better. Or is it? No, I don't like it. Revert. I think I prefer the thing almost touching the borders. Yeah, it makes the icons more present. Let's make the keyboard shortcuts for these guys work, because they are here, but if you type Z and X, they don't work. But there is something interesting here. All the other keyboard shortcuts are in the app, because you have the app in focus when you're using, so you can change the stroke width while you are in the app. The problem with this is that this... So this is okay, we can just use X if we want, it doesn't matter. The problem with the other one is that you are now in Visual Studio Code and you want to send a keyboard shortcut to Notestrator. So if I just type like Q to go to a thin stroke, I am literally typing the letter Q on Visual Studio Code. So I need a global keyboard shortcut that will be picked up by Notestrator. And this will be everywhere in the operating system. It needs to work. So I need to set up this keyboard shortcut in a different way. Yeah, that will not be trivial. You know what? I think I'm going to skip that and go to the last part, which is, so we have a win. I want to finish streaming at in 15 minutes. So I want to do this part, and we'll be over with all the things that we have. They will be styled. So let's see what we can do in terms of how we can represent a fade with how we are going to represent the fade. First thing is, I think that the fade needs to occur before this. I think that the sections are reversed. I think it needs to be like tool. We can discuss more about these ones. I think that the tool should maybe come first. But let's do the fade. I will get how are we going to do the fade? Yeah, I'm going to get the fade section and move it up. And maybe we want just no fade, slow fade, fast fade. So we only have 3 options. I guess it will be in this order. So now let's have one of these sections. And we can start adapting the section. We don't need this this title anymore, and we want the radio to be, well, actually we want not to copy the one we copied. We want a different one. So I copied this section that is different. It sends this IPC renderer stuff, and I don't want that. I want one of the sections that is just a loop, just like this one. And the options will be not called tool, but fade. And the icon, well, I don't think I will be able to have an icon from Font Awesome, I don't think. Let's go again to Font Awesome and see if there is something that has to do with fading. But I don't think there is. And opacity. No, so just like we had to create SPGs by hand to do the stroke width, we'll have to do the same here. So there will be no icons. There will be shortcuts. And the fade will be none. And 1500 and 500. And the keyboard shortcuts, well, I don't know. I'm just going to assign these keyboard shortcuts for now, but I think I will change all the keyboard shortcuts in a moment. Then the radio type is okay. The name will be fade. The value will be fade. Coming from here, there will be no icon. It will be hidden, alright. The shortcut is fine, and then this icon stuff will have to change. I guess the way we're gonna do this is we're gonna have an SVG, and in here we'll do an icon thing. Well, maybe not. We'll do something. For now, I will copy what we have for the SVG for a line. so the stroke width stuff. And we'll go from 0, 20 to 20, 0 with a stroke width of 3. Whatever. Just want to have something on the screen. Okay, I have something on the screen. I will commit what I have. Well, does it work? Yeah, the first one is broken. What did I have before? Currently I have none, and before it was called false. So my problem is right here. Now I can draw. I can draw and it will fade slowly. I can draw and it will fade fast. Next, I want to reorder the sections. I will reorder the sections and come up with good keyboard shortcuts that match the order of the sections. So I think that the first section needs to be the pen, or actually the tool that you're using. So I'm going to start with the tool section. I have a conflict in my head. On the one hand, I think it would be nice for the menu, for the order of the things in the menu to mimic the order of the things in a keyboard to make things easier to memorize, because the intent is that as much effort as I'm putting into this menu, my intent is that most people will hide the menu. So you do want to memorize the keyboard shortcuts, and that's why I'm making them so prominent in the application. The problem here is I don't think these sections make sense in this order. So how about we have something that makes sense in terms of order in these 3 sections, and then we have the colors, and the colors will be the numbers, and that's, I guess that's relatively okay to memorize. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start with the tool. Then we will have the stroke width or the fade. What do you think makes more sense in the home row? I think that the stroke width. Yeah. Then we will have, I guess we kept the order, we just moved everything. But then we will have the fade. Then we'll have the colors. Yeah, so tool, stroke width, fade, colors, and then the different modes of operation. No, I don't like how the color now breaks these sections in two. I'll take it back. And it also matches the keyboard. So color, and then we will do tool, stroke width, and fade. No, I guess it makes sense. Everything makes sense in the order that it is. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just playing around. So next, I guess I did not finish. I was hoping I would finish today, but I did not finish because I did not finish styling this. My idea for styling this is that we'll have a line, then we'll have a line that fades slowly, and then we'll have a line that fades fast. Another idea I had was that you could move this whole menu around by clicking anywhere. Well, let's fix the size first. So we want it to be smaller. After all, we have everything in the menu in place and it's not occupying the whole space, which is great news actually. So say height. Here it is. Let's go to our design system again. And we are currently at 576 divided by 16, 36 RAMs. So we are here, and maybe we can go to there. 28 times 16 is 448. Let's try that height. I think we can go one more to 32 times 16, 512. Well, that number is bigger. So 32 times 16. Okay, so I got it wrong. We were at 28 times 16. How about we go to 24? 384. And you know what? I think it makes sense for me to document this decision. So, where did we get 96 from? From somewhere where it reads 6 RAMs. And I think it was space 24. And here on the height, we are working with 384, which is 24 RAMs, which is our space 96, I suppose. Now that is too much, so let's get a bit more space. And I think we'll have one more section later to do some extra stuff. So I guess I like this size. Just for a moment, let's play with the dragability of the thing. You can still click on all the buttons, but they also move the app around. And I don't think I need these prefixes. I think that auto prefixer will put those in place for me. I was wrong. I remember reading something in the docs saying that you should disable this dragability thing. So let's go to the docs real quick, fix that and wrap it up. Well, it's saying here that if I don't visit, it would be impossible for users to click on them, which is not true. Also, I don't have just button. I have that with labels mostly. Yep. So now when I click and drag on the labels, it doesn't work. But when I click and drag anywhere else, it does work. But you know, I think I actually prefer the other behavior. So how about I don't follow the best practices and I do it like this. Also, I want the whole body, I want the body to occupy the whole screen. Because right now I cannot click and drag here at the bottom because the body is not extending to there. So where do we set the background color warm? Right here. So it should be extending because the whole background, it has that color. But go figure. So I have my color stuff. I'll do a height of 100% right there. Still cannot drag. So let's try a position absolute with top 0, left 0. No, almost there. Now I can click on and drag anywhere. And because I can click and drag anywhere, maybe this part doesn't make a lot of sense anymore. It could be kind of nice, it's a form of advertising, but I think I'd rather not have it, actually. Yeah. I think we've got ourselves a menu. Well, more or less, I still have to do this part. Okay, I'll do it on Monday. Oh, and I'm in click-through mode. Oh, and I'm in eraser mode. Awesome. Looking good. Looking good. Do we have any other of these position absolute stuff? Yeah, not in parts that have to do with the menu. What else do we have here in terms of change? I removed that heading. Yeah, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching this. I hope you learned something. I hope you had some fun. I see you again on Monday at 5:30 UTC, and we'll continue. We'll style the last buttons, and maybe we'll work on cursors or whatnot. There's still a lot of work to do in terms of styling this and making it look good. We can also work on making click-through the keyboard shortcut. We can also work on, well, so many things. Have a good weekend. Thanks for subscribing to the channel, for supporting me on PayPal and Patreon. I see you again on Monday at 5:30 UTC to continue working on Notestrator. Bye.